Good morning. On the morning of May 31st, it's the day of the Israel Day Parade in Manhattan, and I'm talking about surviving socialism under New York City's notorious new mayor, Zoran Mamdani. I am a native New Yorker. I've been a lawyer for 30 years practicing in and around New York City. My name is Eric Dixon. I've also been a political consultant, and I'm going to set forth for you some basic strategies on how you can survive, cope, and thrive despite the socialism that is now encroaching and enveloping New York City and other places within the United States. You can get through this, but you're going to have to change what you've been doing. First of all, socialism is not just an economic system. It's a psychological system that involves a phrase called coercive control. It means that other people, far less competent than you, want to manage your entire lives economic, political, social. It involves the family, it involves religion, it involves negating all of your prior values and superimposing their values upon yours. It is not an equal, reciprocal, two-way street. It does not involve respect. It does involve power. And socialism is closely connected and related to its more severe and less benign alternatives, Marxism and communism. There are some fine differences. We won't discuss that. The fact is that socialism is bad enough because it empowers the state. It removes your power, your individual sovereignty over yourself. I was saying before, there are things you'll have to change about what you do. First of all, when the state exercises this coercive control over everything that you're doing, it involves telling you when you can drive your car, where you can park, how you're going to heat your home or your apartment, how you're going to run your business, or if you're going to run your business. Will you own your own business? They'll tell you you will own, and it will not be as much as you were owning before. Yet you'll be stuck with all the responsibilities. If you look at all the criteria under the DSM-5, the Psychological Handbook for Psychological Disorders, and look at the phrase uh, malignant narcissism, take those criteria, take those characteristics of a really bad person, and then see how that fits in with socialism. You'll see if you get a Venn diagram, where usually you see a couple of circles and you see some overlap. Well, if you take socialism and narcissism, you might just see one circle. It's really bad news. So if narcissism describes a really bad boss, maybe a really bad relationship, oh, you've got the overlap with socialism. Now, under Zoran Mandani's socialism system that has unfolded, and frankly, he's been quite upfront about this. There have been socialist mayors in the past in New York City, but they haven't dared to go after private property ownership with the animus that he is exercising quite unabashedly. He's quite blunt about it. What is troubling about Mamdani is that two things. First of all, he's been quite blunt about what he needs to do. The second thing is that he was elected with a socialist mandate. This is where the danger lies. If you are in New York City and living in New York City, you have family in New York City, or you make your money at least part in New York City, this is the danger that half the voting population, half the electorate, half the people who went out to vote, 50.7%, chose this man. But it's not just Mamdani, it's also the city council. More than half of the city council is in strong allegiance with Mamdani. That means that most of your elected officials within New York City uh, would, if they could, they would confiscate all of your property. I don't care if it's bank accounts, jewelry, fine furs, your car, your apartment, uh, maybe your home in the places where you've got these nice estates, maybe in the far reaches of Queens. Um, Your condos on the 47th floor of some nice new building, all that will go. Your bank account, they don't like Bitcoin at all. Any of your crypto, that'll go. By the way, crypto is uniquely vulnerable because it's portable. And a lot of stupid people think that it's anonymous, and it's not. But that's a topic for a different discussion. Getting back to how you survive socialism now, not next week, not next month. These are things you have to do today, even though I'm recording this on a Sunday morning. Things you've got to do now. You have to exercise all of the power you have right now. You have to start exercising it. You have to think about establishing a second residence or moving out of New York City. Then you have to think about um, where you would move to, because I will tell you that there is some jurisdiction. Most of the Northeast is falling in line with similar socialist allied uh, elected officials. New Jersey, I would put a big caution. Instead of a red light, I would have it as a yellow. I don't really know how to assess New Jersey. Connecticut is similar, but if you move to northern New England, you might be safe. I don't have as much of a problem with Pennsylvania. Delaware troubles me. Maryland troubles me. But south of that, I think you're okay for now. Although, knock on wood, I wouldn't take out any 30-year leases in any of these places. But you have to consider, first of all, relocating for tax reasons. If you run a business, if you haven't already done this, you really have to think about moving as many of your staff and as much of your operations out of New York City and New York State. I am not confident that future elections will reverse this trend. Uh, and in terms of your personal economic power, you've got to start choosing where you spend your hard-earned money, who you give your money to. If there are people who are supporting your political opponents who want to confiscate everything you and your family have, why would you support that business? Why would you support those workers that are looking at you as a mark? This is how criminals view their victims. You're a mark. There is no nice way to say this because what they mean to do to you and me is not nice. This is how you cope. You fight back by withholding your economic power, and you fight back by stopping socializing with these people. There is just no nice way to say this or do this. That you've got to change what you've done in the past. Your circle of friends is going to change because these are people that once you realize what they're really up to, how can you socialize? How can you have these people over to dinner when they mean to confiscate what you have? When if they knew what you owned, would judge you morally as if you are morally inferior to them because you worked hard and saved and were disciplined for years, if not decades, if not generations. Why should you be punished because the last four generations in your family were all hard workers and savers and were all disciplined? And you're following in the footsteps. You're not making your money because you inherited it. You're making your money because you worked hard. And inheritance isn't inherently bad because that means that someone else worked hard. Why should you be punished for what your parents and grandparents did? So, in terms of fighting back against socialism, you have to reassert your power. You run a business, you've got to start acting like the owner and stop acting like the bitch. There's no nice way to say this. Don't be the bitch, be the owner. Be the pigeon, not the statue upon which the pigeon poops. You run a business, you determine who you hire. Stop hiring these people and start cutting back on staff, particularly if they disagree with your politics. They're going to sabotage your business. So, this is what you're looking at. I'm Eric Dixon. This is the Capital Shrug Report. Thanks for joining.